Who was the dumbest person you ever met? How did you know? Dang it, late to the party. Anyway, I was a cook a few years ago, and this particular busy night we ran out of lobster mac and cheese. This one waitress could not understand how this was possible, and just kept nagging and nagging in disbelief. I got annoyed to the point that I told her the reason for this was that there was a shortage of people with small enough hands to milk lobster's tiny nipples, hence a worldwide shortage of lobster milk to make that dish. I had to come clean with her when she started telling this to customers and they demanded to speak with a manager. My friend wanted me to try whole wheat pasta. I explained that I'm allergic to wheat. She said to try it because it's not wheat, it's whole wheat. My former boss was worried that the island of Manhattan would sink with all the extra visitors for New Year's and the ball dropping. She thought islands float, and when she found out that wasn't true she thought it was so funny that she told everyone the story. She was later fired for withholding a pay raise from someone on her team because he didn't accept her advances. He had the texts to prove it. I remember a guy I knew in middle school who put money into a vending machine and then his item didn't come out. Then he put more money into the machine and 2 of the item he wanted came out. He then exclaimed alright. 2 for 1. Man, I remember a guy in middle school who would put money in the vending machine and then sell the item for less money because he thought that's what making a profit was. One time my now ex-girlfriend was watching Maury Povich, one of those paternity test episodes with the classic "you are not the father" moment, and she turns to me and says if we ever have a baby and I found out I'm not the mother, I'll you. Thankfully we didn't end up reproducing. You just randomly bring home a baby. Congratulations, dear. We've had a child. I was working retail at the time, and this lady walks in and asks me to tell her when it is 10:15 AM. She needs to catch a bus. We were slow, so I obliged. 10:15 AM rolls around, and I tell her. So she drops her stuff and runs out to get the bus. 5 minutes later she comes back, it's scowling. And she then lectures me on how to tell time. How much is a quarter? 25 cents. So why would you tell me a 10:15 is 10:15 A? It's 10:25 AM. Tell her that her bus is late today. It will be in at $3 to 11. He had just purchased a new high-powered BB gun. We had just finished shooting it in the backyard when he points the barrel at my face and pulls the trigger several times. I tell him to stop being an idiot and he just laughs and says it's not loaded. Then the moron puts the barrel in his mouth and pop shoots a BB right through his tongue and into his uvula. Edit for those asking why it shot him and not me. I was sitting down, so the end of the barrel was at a downward angle. When Genius shot himself, the barrel was at an upward angle, causing the last BB to roll down to the back of the ammo tube and into the chamber. I asked a temp at work to weigh a couple of lever arch files for postage. She came back and told me they were 65 kilograms. I asked if it were possible that it was 6.5 kilograms, but she insisted it wasn't. We argued about it for a good 5 minutes. It wasn't until I asked her how much she weighed, 59 kilograms, that it finally twigged that these 2 small folders couldn't possibly weigh more than her. Few years ago in Australia, Coke changed their bottle to be a bit narrower and taller to sue less plastic. Both bottles were 600 milliliters. Girl in my class at uni adamant that the change wasn't to reduce plastic, but so they could put less Coke in to save money. I know they are both 600 milliliters, but the new one has less Coke in it. People like this are the reason why companies have to stoop to ridiculous lows in order to cater to the biggest morons out there. Didn't a fast food company have to discontinue a 1/3 pound burger because people thought the 1/4 pound was bigger and therefore the 1/3 pounder shouldn't have been more expensive? Something like that. I'm probably remembering it wrong. I had a boss who told me that she never kept leftovers from a meal because that's how polio got started. All that pre-cooked food in the supermarket, it's all polio. A girl in my class in middle school genuinely thought people had landed on the sun. Her explanation for this belief was to insist that the moon and sun are made of the same stuff. A friend of mine is a sweet guy, but is overweight and balding and quite frankly, not very attractive in the face. Well, one day he lets us know that he has met a girl and she might be the one. He's in his late 20s for reference. Well, I've met some of the jewels he's hooked up with in the past, so I wasn't expecting too much. Finally meet this girl, and she is drop dead gorgeous and has a body that is incredible. I talked to her for a while, and she is super friendly and outgoing. I'm stoked for my boy. He found the best he's ever gonna find. Anyway, the night progresses, and the new couple starts talking about their plans for an upcoming trip to New Mexico, and she starts telling us how excited she is, because she has never gone to another country before. I laughed a bit, and realized she was dead serious. My friend just looked at me, and shook his head, and I knew that he knew. She was dumb as a freaking rock, but she was his dumb freaking rock. FWIW. He helped her get her passport. When I was in the Air Force, I was the lead trainer / certifier in my unit. When a new person would show up, I'd watch them do the job, answer any out of the ordinary questions, etc. And when I felt they were ready, I'd sign off saying they were qualified. This all happened after they finished a 6-week school learning the job. The 73 troops I trained took on average 3 days to complete this phase. Then there was that one guy. I took him under my wing, non-stop for an entire month. He'd mess something up one day, and we'd correct it. No big deal. The next, he'd get it right, but get something else wrong. Then on the following day, mess up on the first thing we had corrected. Bear in mind that he has a step-by-step checklist in his hand that lists everything to do, and in what order to do it. After a month of this, I figured there was nothing I could do for him. Maybe it was my teaching method, so I handed him over to my supervisor. They spent another 3 weeks together until he was finally certified. A month and a half to learn what should have taken 3 days. Personally, I really liked the guy, had a good heart, didn't give up after the setbacks, and probably the funniest non-comedian I've ever met. He was just a bit dense when it came to the job. The job was refueling jets, which is really about 2 degrees harder than filling your car. A chimp could do it, and probably learn in less time. Miss ya buddy, hope you're still doing well. A girl in my art class in high school thought there was just a part of the cow called meat. When we explained meat is the muscles, she freaked out and became vegetarian. My best friend had a foods teacher who thought the same thing. Summarily, you had to cook the outside of the meat, because that's where the germs, specifically E. Carly, were. Edit. This is true. Please keep reading. When my friend commented that parasites could be also present in the muscle tissue, the teacher claimed we don't eat muscle tissue. Too dumbfounded to ask a counter question, we will forever wonder what she thought we ate. A girl in my sophomore year of high school who thought there were 6 months in a year. She was really nice, but very surprised and confused when we tried to set her right. Edit. For those asking which months she would have included in her version of a year, I don't think she thought that far ahead. How did she get to high school without someone setting her straight? My wife wanted to meet an old friend from school she hadn't seen for about 20 years. We went to dinner, and he brought his wife, who he met 2 months ago, who was a male entertainer, and her 2 kids. He was white, she was black, and he spent the whole night trying to start crap with people for making racist comments about their relationship behind their back they weren't. When we finally got into talking, he told me about 9 jump points that exist to get off the earth. I thought to myself, oh boy, a flat earther. I've never met a real one before. But no, that's not what he was talking about. That would have been so much better than what he was talking about. He said there are 9 jump points on Earth that are essentially wormholes to other planets, and that there is one in New York City that goes to Mars, and that the American government has already colonized Mars and is hiding it from the people. And he was dead serious. A girl in an US history class laughed at me when I was talking about driving to Alaska from Oregon. She insisted Alaska was an island because of how it is separated out on maps like this. I don't know if she was the dumbest person I met overall, but it was certainly the dumbest thing someone insisted they were right about. I know a guy who thinks the specialty he drinks negates the negative health effects of his pack-a-day smoking habit. I remember proofreading a paper for a freshman my roommate had the hots for. It was on Jonathan Swift's A Modest Proposal, but somehow this freshman didn't catch that it was satire. The opening lines of the paper are burned into my memory. Eating children would not be a good thing to do. In fact, we could say it would be bad. Thank you so much for watching, and soobscrooble if you want.